We'll start with chanting the main shloka. Kalpaka, are you comfortable to chant it?
I'll try it.
Okay. No, 2 times chant pandra mari pannalam. Na share pandra screen over.
Yeah. Vishwam Darpanalenda.
Yeah.
Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahirivot Bhutam Yatha Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
2 times solla.
Sorry. Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahirivot Bhutam Yatha Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
இதுல சம்ஸ்கிருதத்துல ஒரே ஒரு ப்ரொனன்சியேஷனுக்கு என்ன பண்ணுவான்னா தம்முக்கு அப்புறம் ய வந்ததுன்னா தை அப்படின்னு ஒரு
ஓகே
சும்மா அது ஜஸ்ட் ஸ்மால் டெக்னிகாலிட்டி. நெக்ஸ்ட்.
பீஜஸ்யாந்தரிவாங்குரோ ஜகதிதம்
பிராங் நிர்விகல்பம். அது வந்து actually there must be a halanta there. அங்க ஒரு halanta வரணும்.
பிராங் நிர்விகல்பம் புனः மாயா கல்பித தேச கால கலனா வைச்சித்ய சித்ரீகரம் கிருத்தம் மாயாவீவ விஜృంభயத்யபி மகாயோகி வயஸ்வேச்சயா Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Bijasyantarivakuro Jagadidam Pranirvikalpam Punah Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitrya Chitrikritam Maya Viva Vijృంభయత్యపి Mahayogiva Yasvechaya Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
You want to try this one?
Yes. I can give it a go. Yasyaiva sphuranam sadatmakam asat kalpathakam bhasate sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa yo bodhayatyashratan yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punaravrittirbhavam bhodnidhau Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Yasyaiva sphuranam sadatmakam asat kalparthakam bhasate sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa yo bodhayatyashratan yat sakshat karanat bhavenna punaravrittirbhavam bhonidhau tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
So நம்ம வந்து போன தடவை we saw up until the second one. So the third one is yasyaiva spuranam sad atmakam asat. So sat atmakam asat kalparthakam bhasate. So what it means is yasyaiva spuranam, by whose, yasya eva spuranam, by whose spuranam means to vibrate, to pulsate. There's another word, the first Shivashaktya yukto yadi bhavati shaktah prabhavitum.
Spanditum.
Spanditumapi means the same thing. Spandana, spuranam, dellame on the same meaning. So by whose presence, sat atmakam asat. So the whatever you see as the reality, the reality that we perceive is on the basis of this. See, in the last two shlokas, we have pointed out that what we perceive is not real. Leah, if you notice, the first shloka talks about the mirror, the reflection of the whole universe within us, nija antargatam, similar to how the whole city is reflected in a mirror. And it is Maya that is experienced, similar to how one experiences at the time of sleep and dream. Abdinchali, first shloka. The second shloka is the way from the seed, the plant or the tree expresses itself, manifests itself. In the same way, Maya, through the help of Maya, this whole universe is created. Brahman creates his universe through the help of Maya. Now, which means in the first two shlokas, you're talking about the non-absoluteness of the manifested world, which means that which we experience as the manifest world is not real. The first two idhula establish pandra. Now the third one, he's saying, Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying, this particular unreal or apparently real. So here's the thing with whenever we talk about in Vedanta, the important thing to notice is that the word of apparent, the word becomes very important, because you can't say it's unreal. So this is the space between real and unreal, and the space is called, it's apparently real. Another, he brings in the concept of mithya. Mithya vandu enna solvarna, sat asadbhyam anirvachaniyam, which means it is different from sat, it is different from asat. See, sat appadina, that which always exists, that which does not double negation, that which does not exist at any point in time, which means it is always existing. There is no time, no space whence it does not exist. So sat is something that is always present and always there. Asat is something that can never be present at any point in time, nor in any space or anywhere. It cannot be present. Okay. Now, Vedantic texts la vandu asat examples are given like the horns of a rabbit or sky flowers. Akasathula poo irukka mudiyadhu. So it's asat. Similarly, the rabbit can never have horns. That is asat. But sadly, now we can't use those examples. In a virtual reality, graphics we can create all of that. But asat means that that which can never exist at any point in time. Now, what is mithya is in the space between the two, because what we experience as this world is real. We experience this world as real. What he says is this is apparently real. It is not real like sat, which means always existing, always the same in all space and time. It is not that. Neither it is unreal, because you experience it. Right? When it rains, You feel the water on your body. You feel the water. You can't ignore saying that because now I have studied Vedanta, I am not getting wet. No, cholla mudiyadu. You are getting wet. The body is getting wet. You are experiencing the water droplets on your body. So there is a reality to it, but then that reality is limited by space and time. Actually, there are three things. Desha, Kala, Vastu. There are three things based on which that reality is contained. So Desha is space, Kala is time, Vastu is object. So based on Desha, Kala, Vastu, that experience is limited. So which is why it is not unreal, yet it is not real. Okay, so what is real? Appadingra question varache. It's something that you cannot experience the truth or that ultimate reality in this phenomenal world, because everything in this phenomenal world is ephemeral, temporary. Correct? We experience that every day. இன்னைக்கு கார்த்தால இருந்த மாதிரி மூட் மத்தியானம் கிடையாது. மத்தியானம் இருந்த மாதிரி mood is not there in the evening. Even within us, just look at our emotional state. It is so fickle. It's so difficult for us to maintain an equanimous state of mind within our own selves. Correct? It's so fickle. Now, similarly, when you look at the world outside, nothing is really existing for so long in our experience that it is permanent. Although some things may seem very, very long, they exist for very long times. என்னோட கொள்ளு பாட்டியோட இரும்பு பொட்டி அப்படின்னு சொல்லி வச்சுருப்போம் நம்ம. It's like 150 years old. But then it still has aging. It still will get destroyed at some point in time. Right? It could be many, many, many years. But it's not permanent. It's not going to live forever. When the ads along or diamonds are forever. But
I was going to say fossils.
Fossil fuels, they live for millions of years.
Fossilized.
They live for millions of years, but yet it's not permanent in terms of when you talk about millions of years.
Structure is not, it's not retained.
It'll undergo modification, it'll undergo changes, it'll undergo weathering, right? So if you're talking about time in the scale of the cosmic scale, the universe was created 15 billion years, like a billion years ago in children. So it's very hard to really place the context of time in that cosmic scale. So at the end of the day, everything that gets created eventually gets modified, destroyed. So it is all in the realm of, but then we experience it. So it's not asat. It is experienced by a conscious being, yet it is not permanent or ever living. So it is in the space which is in between the two, which is the term Vedanta has given as mithya. Mithya no term ava introduce pandra. Idu nama kelvi pattuvan. Mithya is a very, very common term that we've heard. So mithya is in the space where it's neither real nor it's unreal, but it's apparently real. Now, so this is what is mentioned here. Yasya iva sphuranam sat atmakam asat kalparthakam bhasate. So this apparently real or unreal, what is this unreal that is being expressed is happening from this source of reality. So what is the substratum, or what is the what powers this universe? What powers this apparently real or apparently unreal? You can either call it apparently real or apparently unreal. Rendume chollikalam, because it's on this mithya can stick to either sides, right? So what we experience is what is the basis of this? See, if you have to how do you put this? If you want movement, if you need to move, for example, if you want to experience movement within yourself, it needs to happen on a static substratum. Correct? Something has to remain static for movement to happen over it. Right? To experience movement, of course, we've got travelators and all that, which moves for us. So the travelator move. So we are just standing on it and the travelator moves, but we are not moving. What I'm saying is, when you move, when you're walking, the ground below is static. So then you experience movement within you, that you are moving from point A to B. You're able to move because there is sufficient, there's the static element and there's sufficient friction. Right? So similarly, for activity to happen, there must be a complete inactive substratum. For sound to happen, there must be silence. Right? This is very fundamental, the way things work, right? For the atom to operate the way it operates, the nucleus has to be static. Nucleus has to be static so that the electrons move around it and does all that it does. It creates a structure, the molecular structure. So for movement to happen, it needs to have an underlying static principle. So the question here is, if you are apparently experiencing this world, number one, the experience pandrom appadina, so this is a created world, a manifested world. So idoda substratum ennadu. That is said is this Sat Atma. The Atma, or the one that is within us, that which is the consciousness, which is always there, which it is referred to as Sat. This Atma is referred to as Sat because it is always there. Whether you're sleeping, whether you're dead, even when after you're dead, this conscious principle continues to exist. It doesn't have, because it's not material in nature, it does not experience destruction. It's like space. Space is always there. Whether you capture it in a bottle or you break the glass walls of the bottle, space is always there. You have not done anything to the space. So similarly, this consciousness is always existing, and on the on the platform of this consciousness, the whole creation is happening. So yasyaiva spuranam. So yedoda the power, by whose power this whole universe is getting created. Bhasate is to illumine. Kalparthakam na kalpa, to be imagined or to be created, and illumined. So this asat that is illumined, it is happening on the basis of the sat. Right? And you think about it in our experience. The first line, mattume kuda, just look at it from our point of experience. When you go to sleep, the world does not exist. Correct? The world does not exist. You may get up and you may read the news to understand the things that have happened in the world and all of that in the past tense. But while you are sleeping, the experience of the world ceased to exist for you, which means the world does not exist for you. I don't know if you have heard of haiku sayings. Japanese la haiku sayings me cholluva. They're very small, pithy statements, very philosophical ideas are pack panni poduva, like sutras. So there's one haiku saying, of course it's translated into English. It says, when there is no one to, if there is a tree that falls in the forest and no one to hear, does it make sound? Right? Now, whether it makes sound or not, it doesn't really matter, because the experiencer is not there. Somebody who experiences it is not there. So the idea of sound is only relevant for the experiencer. In abstract, if it makes sound or not, who cares? Yeah. So similarly, the the world that we experience rises from the fact that we are conscious. This is a very, very important aspect that we need to be aware of. And we have to try to implement this on a daily basis. The fact of the matter that if I am turning off, so when we say the world, there is no objective world out there. We should remember this. A news item becomes valid. There's been when the general recently had a plane crash and he died. Now that news, only when I listen to it and in my consciousness, when my consciousness becomes aware of that news item, that news item gets life for me. In the world, it may have existed. I don't know, but in my world, the world that is experienced by me, as long as I don't hear that news, that world that there is this commander general doesn't exist. And this is an important aspect to remember, because we need to know we create our own world. There is no objective world out there which is completely devoid of our conscious experience. There is no objective world out there. Once we know this, then it becomes a huge responsibility, which means I create my world. I am responsible for the world that I create. I am responsible for what I experience in the world. I become responsible for it. Once this idea sets in, then you become extremely conscious about the way you live. We become conscious about the things that we do, the way we live, the way we want to see the world and ourselves. Yeah. So the first line itself is very powerful. Yasyaiva spuranam sadatmakam asat kalparthakam bhasate. So this whole manifest world happens on that conscious substratum, which is me, which is my Atma. And there is no world which is an objective world out there, irrespective of my experience. Correct? Does anybody have any contention to this this view? See, this
I
is
don't know if I got that right, but we are actually, there's only one the Lord himself. I mean, whatever that energy is, we are our ten number one though. So we create, I mean, we have the power to create whatever circumstances or
I am not. No, I am not even saying that. I am not even saying that. All I am pointing out is go back to your own experience. Whatever power that is there, we have come from that. Right now, in my experience, is there an objective world which is different from my experience of it? Understand this. When I turn off, when I go into coma, when I go become unconscious, is there a world that exists? For me, remember, we are talking about the subjective experience. What I'm pointing out is the subjective experience of the world is my world. There is no objective world out there.
Okay.
Correct? See, this is something that's important for us to use it as part of our sadhana. Because if we make ourselves aware constantly that the world that I talk about, world na solronla namba, we separate the world from us and we talk about the world in a very, very abstract way. உலகம் என்ன படுத்துறது, உலகம் என்ன இப்படி பண்றது, உலகத்துல இப்படி இருக்கு, உலகம் சரியில்லை, உலகம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நம்ம உலகத்தை வந்து we separated from us.
It is the other way.
Think about it. There is no world out there without my conscious experience of it. Right? If I'm in deep sleep, whether the world exists or not, I don't care, because I am in deep sleep. There may be things happening, may be happening, may not be happening. Doesn't matter. Maybe the whole world is shut down. They're saying, okay, Hamsa has gone to sleep, let us all shut down. Who knows? There is this movie called Truman Show. அது எல்லாரும் பார்க்கணும்னு நான் சஜஸ்ட் பண்ணுவேன். Jim Carrey there. It's a very beautiful movie. It shows how this whole town city has been set up for this one guy, and they run and they air this guy from the time he's small child, how he grows, and avanoda day to day reality show madri avana air pannuva. Except that boy, that Truman, his name is Truman, except that boy, everybody knows that this is a set. This is enna solradhu, this is a TV show. But that boy alone thinks this is reality. This is his life. So he grows to the age of 25, 30. So all these years, idu vandu TV reality show mari 20 varshama, 25 varshama they have been airing. This boy alone doesn't know. Everybody else knows. So think about it that way, right? When I experience the world, this world is real only as long as my experience of it is there. That which I don't experience does not have any basis at all. When we do that, then we become very, very acutely conscious about the way we live, and we become aware and responsible about the what we are and how we are. Right? So it's got nothing to do about it's got nothing to do about, yes, we are a spark of the divine principle, we are that we are an aspect of that energy, adalla irukku. But when you look at your life's experience, we should remember the world that I experience is the world that matters to me, not the objective world, and we cannot separate ourselves from this world that we talk about. So once we come into this state that within me arises this world, within me the world goes back into sleep, then you start becoming more and more introspective. We don't dissipate ourselves out in the world, we become more introspective. See, when you get up in the morning and we go bump into some karthala namba enna mood la kalamburomo, you will notice that the way the day turns out to be that way. If I'm in a very nasty mood, every person bumping into me, I'll feel that he is veduntu vandu idikiran, சும்மா அங்க நடந்து போயிட்டு தான் எதுக்கு வந்து என்ன இடிக்கிறான், எதுக்கு என்ன முறைச்சு பார்க்கறான், எப்படி என்ன பண்றான் பாரு அப்படின்னு. So we create our world constantly. We are creating our world. So it's extremely important to recognize that you're spending a little long time on this first line, because that is what it is. From here rises the experience of the world. It is not that there is a world out there and I seem to experience only bits and pieces. Every experience is entire in its nature, but it's happening inside of me. Right? Dubai no oor irukkude enakku theriyaduna, it is not in my experience, so it doesn't matter. But when it comes to be known to me, when it comes into my experience, it becomes part of my world. Till then it is not. So that's an important line. Okay, so we've spent sufficient time on that line. Nama vandu we'll continue the next few lines அடுத்த வாரம். Okay. Om kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami sadashivayeti samarpayami jagadambikayeti samarpayami sadgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Okay, thank you very much.